want to discuss a couple of events from the year 1858. In September of that year, a group of over 100 people, members of the Chatham Vigilance Committee, an abolitionist group formed in Chatham, Ontario, stormed a train which had stopped to take on water. They'd been warned via telegram that a train passing through the area on its way to Detroit had on it a white man and a 10-year-old black boy. The committee went through the train and forcibly removed the child from the man who claimed the child was a slave. By British law, any slave on British territory, such as Canada, was automatically freed by virtue of being on British soil. But it had turned out the child, named Sylvanus Demarest, had in fact been born free, and the man allegedly kidnapped him to take him to the U.S. and sell him into slavery. 6 members of the Chatham Vigilance Committee, 4 black and 2 white, were charged with rioting. I've been unable to find out what charges, if any, were laid against the alleged kidnapper. Sylvanus would be reunited with his parents, and he would go on to live a long and free life. In November, the Fall Assizes of Toronto heard the case of Hannah Blackson, a free black woman, a former slave, who had been convinced by a white neighbor to go with him as his cook for a year or so as he worked or traveled his way across the border. By Hannah's testimony, the man had proposed marriage to her, even though he was already married. She herself testified that she turned down the proposal, but others testified that she was open to it. Either way, she broke up her house, packed her things, and left with him. When they arrived just across the border, she asked him where her luggage was, and he told him he'd already sent it forward to St. Louis. Realizing immediately what was happening, she left him and returned to Canada, where she found the man had sold off or had sent her furniture and other property to Montreal with his wife. The judge of the case stated that he had no doubt the man had intended to take Hannah to the south and resell her back into slavery. And for this crime, he was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment with hard labor, one of the longest and harshest sentences handed out at that assizes. These are the basic facts of these events. But what is the story behind all this? How should these incidents be remembered in our history? What narrative do they fit? Are these stories of how a minority was treated and how they had to be constantly aware of a white population always ready to prey upon them? Or are these stories of a racism which has always been at the heart of the Canadian identity? Or are these part of the story of our struggles against racism and how we work together to bring protection and justice to each other? That's how we tend to fix these things in our larger narrative of history and the story we want to tell. Canada is broken. Canada has always been broken. Or Canada is good. A few hiccups along the way and a couple of bad apples. Or Canada has always had problems. But we're working on it. We try. Hannah and Sylvanus both had happy endings to their stories. Others were not so lucky. So what are we? What do these stories tell us about ourselves? It's up to you to decide.